back to school season, but instead of focusing on the classroom, Teachers Union boss Randy Wingarten is calling out retail giant Target. Watch this.
Target's corporate headquarters are in Minneapolis, where ICE's cruel and illegal immigration tactics have left vulnerable communities, including countless children, in a permanent state of fear. Target could have used its considerable clout to demand an end to these inhumane tactics, but it has remained silent as ICE's terror and brutality campaign has spread across the country.
Thanks, Randy. One California school board president and superintendent candidate telling Fox this, quote, "Teachers' unions are supposed to fight for teachers. Instead, union leadership has become a political machine obsessed with money, power, and influence, while our children continue to fall behind." According to the nation's report card, only about a third of students in 4th, 8th, and 12th grades were proficient in math and reading in 2024. I felt abysmal statistics, and so I'm not quite sure what the union boss is doing.
Abysmal indeed. Ms. Wingarten, she has a right to her opinions, but I think as the union boss, she should focus on, listen, you've got teachers paying for their own supplies on average $900 a year out of their own pocket. So if Ms. Wingarten wants to do something that is helpful, then maybe she should maybe come up with a contract with some of these big buck stores so the teachers can go in there and get deeper discounts on supplies. And maybe a set limit of vouchers for some families who really can't afford these supplies. And as you said, focus on the grades. I mean, this is, listen, we know, whether or not y'all admit it or not, but half of the country opposes ICE and their tactics. So that's fine. She has a right to her opinion, but don't bring it into the classroom.
Yeah, I think a lot of those polls are inflated and definitely miss the nuance of American support for removing illegal immigrants and safety of their communities. But in terms of this, we've talked this hour about things that exhaust us, and I would think as a parent, I would be exhausted by the bodies that take money from taxes and us and our salaries, focusing on anything but actual education for children.
Yeah, it just has absolutely nothing to do with the teachers union stated purpose, but that's fine. If they want to weigh in on immigration, they're welcome to do that. I did, however, go back and do some research to see if Randy Wingarten or the teacher union that she represents in general had made any sort of statement or any comment on the Americans who have been killed by illegal aliens, whether that was Laken Riley, Jocelyn Ungare, Rachel Morin. Not a single one. Not a single statement in support of the Americans who have been harmed by the illegal immigrants that ICE is trying to remove from our communities. And what's even more troubling is that Randy Wingarten and her teachers union, they're making this sort of boycott into some sort of movement at the expense of the actual teachers that they represent. I went back and looked up, and the teachers who are part of the AFT, they own about 6.79 million shares in Target stock, estimated about worth upwards of around $500 to $600 million at this current market. That means that if they are encouraging a boycott in Target, they could potentially hurt the very teachers and their stocks and their pensions that they're supposed to represent. So the whole thing is completely backwards.
That would be hilarious if it wasn't so absolutely crazy to have the union boss be so ignorant as to blatantly engage in a conflict of interest and breaching of her fiduciary duty. I can't even deal with it. Molly, here's my question, because I think that I don't understand why we are operating as if we're in a robber baron existence. And people are even still saying, fight for teachers. What is happening in this country that is against teachers? I don't really see anything. So I don't quite know what that union boss is supposed to do anyway. It seems to me they have the run of the mill with everything. And unlike every other employee, I would think, in this country, where if you don't have deliverables, if you don't perform, if you don't have some type of product that's acceptable, you're fired. So if our kids are failing, why isn't she fired?
So, as it happens, my mother is a retired public school teacher, and that was her union, the American Federation of Teachers. And if you think that the education of children is something that the union is interested in, or the support of good teachers who teach children to learn, if you think that's the mission of the union, you are sorely mistaken. The purpose of the union, the purpose of any system, is that which it does. And what does the AFT do? It supports the Democrat Party. And so when you think, what in the world are they doing going after Target related to ICE? It's not because they care about teachers, good teachers, or students and their outcomes. They care about power and helping Democrats expand power, and they think this is a good issue for them to run on. But as you note, in fact, immigration laws are important to the country. It remains one of the most popular things that the Trump administration has ever done, is enforcing our laws, enforcing our border laws. And this war on Target, a group that spent more than $2 billion in response to the radical BLM movement, is infuriating, to say the least.
Well, I love the fact that Target is getting the blame for so many, because they made this little woke bed. It's good that they're going to lie in it. I mean, really, they spent all this money on Black Lives Matter stuff. Do you remember back in 2020 when they had like the clothing that people could tuck or stuff their genitalia?
Children.
So you wouldn't know, if you're a boy or a girl. I mean, just absurd. So the fact that they are on the losing end of this, I think, is just beautiful. But I'll tell you, they have no credibility on the right. So they're not, no one on the right is going to defend them. But now they're getting it from the left. It's even crazier. But I'll say this. Look, I mean, if you can finally, if they would, as a company, would just, one, get out of politics totally, but then once you get into politics, it never ends. It's like no good deed goes unpunished, because they decided to go out there during Woke One, as AOC would call it, and get so publicly political. Now they are seeing the problems with that is because it's never enough for the left, and it's only going to get worse for them. And I'm just getting my popcorn to watch how this all plays out. So.